Hi, I'm Laura McCracken. I'm here in the lovely Marlene Dietrich bar in Berlin at the Merchant Payment Ecosystems. And today I am focusing on dispelling a few common myths about payments. And I am lucky to have with me Katharina Luschnik from MasterCard. She's responsible for open banking within MasterCard Open Banking.
Exactly.
So thank you for joining us, Katharina.
Thanks for having me.
Now, I have selected a myth for you. Now, I didn't tell you in advance what it would be, but I'm sure that you're going to be able to knock this one out of the ballpark given your role. It's myth number 7. Open banking will never be adopted by merchants. Now, you have 3 choices. It's either true, false, or it's complicated. What say you?
Sorry to say, but false.
False,
sure.
false, for
For
sure.
sure.
100% resounding.
No, for sure. Yeah, because I mean, from a MasterCard perspective, we also focus a lot on open banking, and we do that for a good reason, because merchants indeed has adapted it. I mean, I might tend to complexity in a sense that it depends a bit on countries. So we see regions like the UK or like the Nordics where consumer adoption is a bit more advanced than in other countries. But merchants for sure see the enormous innovation power of open banking and the disruptive moment. We are all waiting for it and have started to adapt it in a way that they already have integrated it as a payment option, the way they are already using open banking data for different use cases, like verifying an account to set up your direct debit mandate, for instance. So maybe the concept per se might not come across as open banking, but they already integrated in a lot of use cases, for instance, also invoice payments.
Got it. And so people talk about blockers. Like what are some of the blockers that you're having to overcome with merchants accepting open banking?
Yeah. So I think merchants are super used to a slick experience and also to a kind of end-to-end proposition. And open banking is more than just a payment method. I think this is one of my myths. I would maybe like to somehow clarify that open banking is much more than just a payment method. It's a new concept where you can, depending on the use case, really embed payments in a way that you have additional frictionless experience. If you take, for instance, an invoice which could normally be paid through bank transfers. Now with open banking, you can preset an amount, you can really pre-populate data already, and you can order then properly reconcile as well as a merchant. So there are different use cases where open banking even bring added value, and they're just not another payment method. I think that's one of the things we would need to consider if we talk about merchant adoption.
Got it. And then what are the benefits for the merchant? I mean, is it cheaper? Is it faster?
Probably a combination. So for sure faster. I mean, we are talking about instant. We are talking about instant payment. We are talking about instant settlement. So we can cut out a lot of intermediates. This makes things more efficient. And also the way you can integrate open banking can be super slick and efficient, since it's an API first approach. So it's a technology concept where you do not need essentially a lot of providers to help you integrating, but you can integrate it more or less directly. So this comes back to efficiency and security. Security is for sure something which open banking brings as a kind of embedded fraud protection, because there's always a strong customer authentication. There are also different transaction monitoring checks done by the banks. So somehow it's a super secure way to pay, but also to access data.
Yeah. And thinking about the customer, so customers know what MasterCard is. They understand what credit cards and charge cards are, but they don't know what most customers don't know what open banking means. So how do you gain customer awareness?
Yeah.
Or do you? Is it embedded in the journey?
That's exactly the point. Yeah, that's very interesting because I tend to believe that you do not need to position something like open banking. I mean, we are in the payment industry. We are all talking about open banking because conceptually we understand what is hidden behind. But the consumer doesn't care at the end, right? The consumer wants to make sure that it brings added value. It's a frictionless experience. It's fast. It's secure, and they can trust the counterparty. And this trust effect is extremely important, specifically in Europe, since we are all operating in a regulated environment. If we access data, we do it in a regulated way. If we initiate payments, then the customer always has transparency end to end when the money will be deducted from the amount, from the account. It's also instant, which somehow generates inclusion, because there might be people who really would favorize an instant deduction of an account rather than waiting until the credit card bill needs to be paid. Things like this. I think this is something which already gives the consumers sufficient argumentation why they would use open banking, even though they would not recognize that it's open banking, because for them maybe it's a bank payment at the end, paying from an account, topping up your secondary neobank with your first bank account, paying your bill from your account, but maybe not necessarily entering IBANs, but just clicking on an account and authenticating yourselves. Things like this is open banking, because customers and the consumer would not even recognize that now it's an open banking technology.
Excellent. And so which, do you have any good case studies, any good examples of merchants who've adopted it?
Yeah, I think a couple of I mentioned already. So we see for sure the need with high ticket values to run it over a bank transfer open banking payment rather than another payment method, since sometimes you are not here dependent on different limits. It's more or less the bank account limits. We see a lot, as mentioned earlier, payment links, invoice payments, collecting a payment, sending payment links out where it would redirect to an account-to-account payment, but also some merchants would maybe have a wallet proposition, so topping up here accounts, but also using open banking data to verify an account before you would allow for a direct debit, checking the balance to somehow also decide when is the right point of time to deduct the payment from an account, but also maybe a bit more sophisticated things like merchants, if they do short-term lending, score a customer, get extremely great insights from open banking perspective that you would know when specifically income or the account would be filled, so things like this. So I think there are a lot of use cases already also adopted by merchants.
One thing that happened, I noticed, I did my tax returns begrudgingly a couple weeks ago in the UK. And the UK, HMRC now is doing open banking.
Exactly. In the UK specifically, you have tax payments. Indeed, you have to pay back your credit card. So here, adoption in the UK is already happening since years.
Yeah, exactly. Great. And so I heard also you were in a panel discussion just before this interview with moderated by David Birch.
Yes.
Who's quite tough. Did he ask you any tough questions, or did he challenge you in any way?
Yeah, he challenged us in a good way and in a positive way, because he obviously also is getting feedback from merchants. He was trying to understand the questions he gets frequently from merchants. What's our reflection from an open banking perspective? And I like that because we tend to be somehow focusing on a day-to-day perspective on our topic, but we need to understand better what the ecosystem needs, what the requirements are out there, and how we can help merchants to maybe integrate open banking more efficiently, but also somehow see all the advantages of open banking there. And there, David helped us with his more provocative questions, but it was a good way to discuss it.
Excellent. Well, I can see that you look like you're full of passion about this topic, and I'm sure that merchants enjoy meeting with you and learning about the possibilities. So let's raise our glasses. Let's have a toast to open banking and wishing you all the best in the future, and enjoy the rest of the conference.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.